What if I told you you're going to lose people? That more than often, they won't see the world the way you do. That you'll have to drag yourself out of bed, not for passion, but just to survive. Not to chase your dreams, but just to keep the lights on. And then, what if I told you you won't always have the energy? That some days you'll feel stuck and tired and just out of options. If you're in your early 20s or even your late teens, this is your chance. These are 7 lessons I wish I knew early on. And just so you know, I'm not famous, and no, I'm not sitting on a pile of cash for what it's worth, and I think that's exactly what gives me credibility to speak in front of you today. So think. I'm just your regular guy trying to figure this shit out, and if you take these lessons seriously, you might just tilt the odds in your favor. So let's get started. Lesson 1. Do more and think less. If you're anything like me, then you're an overthinker. Spending hours thinking about what could have been. It's perfectly alright to be a dreamer, nothing wrong with that. And as they say, some dreams do come true. And I think, philosophically speaking, I think it's called manifestation or whatever. Anyway, but when you're younger, this thinking and acting has to happen much faster. It's not only about dreaming, but so much also about doing. So, what should you really do, right? That's the question you ask. I would say, go get a job, go work on that project. If you feel like you have a shot with that girl, go ask her out. Learn to rip the band-aid out quick. You know what I mean? You have plenty of time to heal. You've got nothing really to worry about. Rip that band-aid out quick. So I constantly spent my evenings thinking about the business empire that I would build, and believe me, I still haven't to date. And constantly thinking about taking a trip with the money I kind of saved up, but I never did that too. Or even if I did manage to do, a trip or two with the money I saved, the amount of meditation that went into the process was so much to the point that I could have covered more than 5 trips in that time. But I think, do you really understand what I'm trying to say here? You're losing time. If you don't learn how to act fast, the habit sticks and you grow up to not seize opportunities as quick. You just don't see them as quick and you don't seize them as quick. It's just the way we're wired. And I don't make the rules here, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say. Think about the stuff that you want to be doing and then just act on it. If you feel it in your heart, take your chances. What's the worst that can happen? At the very least, think about this. At the very least, you have a funny story to tell. And I think when you look back in time, that's really all that matters. I mean, unless of course you're going into the forest blindfolded, then that's a different story. Bringing us to the short lesson on memory. Build memories of the times you felt happy, carefree, and loved, of moments that shaped you, of stories that changed how you feel and saw the world. Of course, in the present tense, it's capturing the moment and paying attention to the things that go around you, right? And paying attention to these things that's happening around you. When you look back, that's when they're technically memories, right? Let me make this simple. Live your life one day at a time, but do it with complete intention. We'll talk about this a little later in this chapter, but just bear with me for now. Appreciate it, enjoy it, learn, goof around, laugh, cry, whatever it is, feel it fully, feel it 100%. Because your stories start to define the person you kind of become. The better your stories, the better the book turns out, right? Now, why is all this important? Why am I telling you this? And the reason I'm telling you this is because there's no rewind in life. You're never young twice. Your stories are sort of frozen in time. And what you don't live today and in the now, you never get to live that again. That's just how physics works, I guess. And the thing is, I might not be able to convince you about all these things today, but just think of me as your Marty from the future and just take my word for it. Don't be a Biff, right? You don't want to be a Biff. Bringing us to lesson 3 on being comfortable in your own skin. Let me get real with you. I'm a guy who moved out of my country to chase bigger dreams, and as you can probably tell, I'm not a native English speaker. So my accent, it's all over the place, and I'm sure you kind of see it already, but and for a long time, the way I look, the way I feel, made me feel a certain... This is a tough one to talk about. It's a little personal, but anyways, I think it's important to the point I'm trying to make on this topic. But I know I'm not the only one. Anyone who's ever felt like they didn't fit in will get it. Maybe you were the new kid in the school, maybe you moved cities, maybe you were just quiet in a loud group, or maybe you looked, spoke, or acted differently from everyone around you. That's just how it was. For me, it was all of that at once. I looked different, I sounded different, I was in a new place, trying to, figure life out. And of course, being a young adult with raging hormones, I just wanted people to like me. I just wanted to belong and be part of something bigger than myself. And this is all coming straight from the heart, so you'll have to bear with me here. But I think you do get the point, right? But life, unfortunately, doesn't always pan out that smoothly. You'll have to kind of fit yourself into that groove. The truth is, people often need context to be comfortable around you. And sometimes, when you're different, that context takes a little time to set in. From their point of view, it's kind of fair. I mean, they don't know you, you look a little different from them and all that, etc. But it's fair, I get it. But for you, it can feel like you're stuck in a world that's already spinning around you because you've got all that change going on. But that's just how it will be sometimes. It took me a while to find my place, and that delay, it came from me constantly second-guessing myself and, overthinking about myself a little too much, feeling like I wasn't enough for the world or whatever. But that's just not the case. Eventually, I realized something that changed everything. It kind of changed my perspective on life and in general about things around you. Okay, so play along with me. Pick a random beautiful stranger on the street. Someone who, from your perspective, has the great looks, confidence, style, whatever. I mean, look at me. Just that smile on my face says you all. I'm already imagining that. But chances are they're carrying insecurities you can't even imagine. And if they say otherwise, I think you'll have to take that with a grain of salt. But it's not like they're walking around feeling confident and comfortable in their own skin all the time. Even the most beautiful person in your perspective is still carrying baggage with them. So here's the real takeaway. We all evaluate ourselves way more harshly than others do. And that self-evaluation, it leaks into your body language somehow. It becomes your vibe, and that vibe, as subtle as it may be, is what people pick on. You unknowingly set off a vibe that automatically differentiates you in some sense. I don't know if that made sense, but I think it did. So here's what you need to do. I think you got to start learning to get comfortable in your own skin, whether you're tall or short, fair or dark, hablo inglés or no hablo inglés, rich or broke. It really doesn't matter. You really become who you choose to become. I mean, you write your own story, you narrate your own case, whatever. I think, and then you define how the world sees you. It's all in your mind if you think about it. I mean, it's not a matter of how someone else sees you, but it's first a matter of how you see yourself. And no, by no means, I'm not saying don't work on yourself. I'm not saying don't dress up, don't look good, whatever. I'm not saying any of that, but I'm just saying recognize your unfair advantage in a world where everyone has their own unfair advantages. I think it's about recognizing that and acting on that. And if for even a minute you think that others don't have them, think again. We all have them, but they only show up in the right context. So I think it's a matter of finding your own context, and you'll have to stop waiting to be accepted. You got to create that own space for yourself. Don't beat yourself up for who you are. I mean, there's no real point. Let me tell you this. People will most often like you if you put up a smile, smell a little nice, and just be kind and respectful. Really, it's just as simple as that. I think we need nicer human beings in this world. So hold yourself up in a high regard, and you should love yourself spiritually or philosophically, whatever floats your boat and whichever lens you look at, The more you accept yourself, the more love and kindness you'll attract. And your accent, your quirks, your background, the very things that make you different are the things that make you you. You've got to understand that. I mean, I wouldn't want to be anyone else but just me. And that version of you, it was always meant to exist. So I think you've got to work on that confidence, and you've got to start learning to get comfortable in your own skin. That's all you really need to know. Bringing us to lesson 4, learn to sell. I think it's a very important skill to have. I wish someone told me that most of your adult life is about learning to sell. You're selling yourself to your employer, pitching why you're the right person for the job. You're selling yourself to the girl or guy that you like. And right now, I'm pitching myself to you, trying to earn your trust in this digital space. Life starts to look like one big circus of people selling to each other. Really, I mean, if you think about it, a lot of all this is about selling each other up. Now, here's the thing. The better you narrate your story, the better you sell. It's as simple as that. But to sell well, you have to know what you're selling. The proof is always in the pudding, right? So on one side, there's the product, which is you. And on the other side, it's really a matter of how you sell that product. your skills, your value, your experiences. And on the other side, there's the art of selling that product. But the truth, most of us spend all our time figuring out what to offer, but never learn how to offer it. We're never taught that part, not in school, not in college. And you won't hear this in most places, but a lot of it is really about learning how to sell yourself. To sell, you need to think in terms of value. What's in it for them? The value proposition is a very important thing. Most people are tuned into their own lives and problems. So what that really means is you really have to speak directly to that. You need to understand what solves their problem. So solve a problem for someone and boom, you might just land your first $1,000 gig. Trust me, I've heard this happen over and over again. Here's another tip, that I wish someone told me when I was a lot younger, is network in real life, not just through your phones or, LinkedIn DMs or any of that stuff. Go out there, show up, pitch yourself face to face. I think, that's a craft that you have to own, and that's something that you got to practice. And maybe, for the first few times you get rejected, but big deal. In a few years, you won't remember, they won't remember. But what the important takeaway from that would be that you've learned a skill. You've learned how to get rejected. You've learned how to pitch yourself to people, and that's an important thing to learn. And that's where you sharpen the blade. And don't worry, you'll perfect it over time. You do this over and over, you probably get it right the nth time. I still suck at it, by the way. Not that I can go pitch myself to people, but I think if I started early on in life, maybe I would have done a tad bit better. And that's really what I'm trying to convey here. Bringing us to lesson 5, which is really talking about life with intention and living with intention. I know we discussed about this in the past, I think in one of the previous lessons, but I think I'm going to keep this one really simple and to the point, but I think it's very critical that you understand about living with intention. If you don't live with intention, I think life just drifts away. Days blur, and one day when you wake up and you wonder where all the time went, this is exactly how it went, because you weren't living too much with that intention. So I want you to do one thing. I want you to believe in your story, even the wild, slightly delusional ones. And I think it's about trusting yourself, and it's also about talking kind to yourself, and going with the narrative that the more you believe, the more others will do too. And I think it ties seamlessly to the concept that we just discussed about selling yourself and so on. And I didn't always believe in me, and once I did start doing it, even just a little bit, I think it changed my game. It changed the way I showed up, it changed the way people perceived me, and so on and so forth. So I think take that very seriously when I tell you that you need to really believe in yourself and live a little bit more with intentions. And books like Psycho-Cybernetics explains this very well. Your brain is like a guided missile. Just think about that and vision that in your head for just a second. So whatever image you feed it, it follows. And if you see yourself as capable, as someone who can do it, it starts to look for ways to prove that's true. And that's just how things work. And pick up that book. I think it really talks a lot about this concept there. And you don't need permission. You can literally start today, and you can start right now. You can start shaping that story for yourself today. And every day is a word for who you're becoming, and that's something that's important for you to understand. And just ask yourself this: what do I want to become today? What you want to become in 3 months from today, 6 months, 1 year, it doesn't matter. And whatever little step, however small that step is, I think if you start taking it in that direction, I think over the years you'll realize how important and how critical and crucial that step was. And soon enough, you're not drifting away anymore, and when you look back, it all makes sense. And bringing us to lesson number 6 about respecting yourself and respecting those around you. It's another critical lesson, and I think I didn't learn this soon enough. And I think when you're young, you don't think a lot about these things, and that's completely fine. But that's exactly what I'm here to do for you. I'm here to tell you a thing or two about what you might want to do to kind of increase those odds. So without going too much into detail on this one, at least not in this video, I want you to take just one thing away from this. I think you should respect yourself and those around you, and take this very seriously, and I really do mean it. And just be a nice person at the end of the day. That's all that really matters, right? Bringing us, I think this is a drum roll to the lesson 7, the last one that I wanted to talk to you guys about, and that's about money and finance. So let's hear the drum roll. I'm going to pause for a second there, but anyways, I think this is the most underrated life lesson that most people might not think about, but I think it's supremely important that we talk about this, because I really wish someone would have told me this earlier. And I think one of the other things to this is that many people did talk to me about it, of course, right? But you're not in that headspace to listen. But I think this lesson kind of, the way I narrate this, I hope I would be able to kind of rub a little bit of this on you. And I think you don't need to be super conservative with money or anything. That's not the point of this video. But I think I want you to be smart about it. Of course, you want to enjoy your life, you're young and whatnot, but I think you should put a little bit of money aside. And here's a classic example. I'm going to show you a live demo of what I want to do, but I think this is a classic example. So the year is 2022, and I'm a student again. I think I told you a little bit about it in the past, in the last lesson. But I think I was back to being broke with minimum wage. I was doing, minimum wage for 20 hours a week. And I think, if I'm not wrong, I was pulling about $1,000 a month or so. And, just for shits and giggles, right? So let's say I put $50, into Bitcoin or whatever. I'm not advocating for anything here. Do your own due diligence. But let's say I did that. Let's say I put $50 in Bitcoin and $50 into something more like an S&P 500 ETF or whatever, right? I mean, let me do this. I'm going to pull my phone up right in front of you, and I'm going to put some prompts into ChatGPT to see what it thinks about what would have been the outcome today. Reaching out to my phone. Let's see. I'm opening it up. I'm going to type a little bit. Okay, so I did have something typed up, so it would be a little faster. But anyways, so here's the deal. So according to ChatGPT, as a summary, it says that imagine I started investing in the year 2022 with, January 2022, just, for the sake of it. Let's say I put $50 into Bitcoin, right? What would have happened is, till date, it's 41 months that would have elapsed. And so that's a total of $2,050 over the course of 41 months, right? 2050, right? And now that's approximately an accumulation of 0.05 Bitcoins. And the price as of today is $5,400 or $5,400, which is a net gain of $3,350, and which is 164% of return. Okay, so I think my last video got cut short because of I think I ran out of battery on the last one there. So anyways, like I was saying, I think 165%, like we were talking about just a couple of seconds ago, 165% return from a single stock or a single element is huge. I don't know if you realize this, but this is huge. So in the course of 3 years, it grew by 165%. So I think this is something that you really need to think about and consider as part of your financial plannings. And hey, I'm not here to sell crypto or, stocks or any of that sort. I mean, it's your own due diligence to do, but I think it's about understanding, the value of time, the value of compound interests, and all that good stuff. So if you do get to start out much sooner in life, I think the better you get, the more money you accrue, you kind of take advantages of all the waves that go around. And yeah, that's kind of the beauty of it. And that's the whole point of this lesson, is to give you that tidbit of information. I think I wasn't as disciplined as it. And I think that's another thing that I wanted to add to this point was, it's also a matter of discipline if you think about it, because if you get into the habit of putting at least $50 or $100, it doesn't matter really. It's just you committing to doing that every month. And, sooner or later you realize and reap the benefits of that discipline. And I think that's the whole point of this video. And I didn't listen to the good people that I had in my life at the time, but I hope the way I'm putting all this information across somehow pushes you to do so. So I kind of feel like that's it for this one, folks. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and I feel like we did speak a lot for this one, and I hope I would have given you, some lessons of mine, some personal lessons of mine that you could take something out of, and hopefully use it in your individual lives. And yeah, thanks for watching.